Hey guys, Brett Weiss here. Welcome to another video. It is time to rethink everything. My entire channel, at least. Maybe not my entire life, but maybe some of that. So what do I mean by this? When I started off my channel, my primary goal, 99% of the reason I wanted to do this was to tell stories, to talk about retro gaming, to talk about gaming back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Gaming as I lived it back in the day. You know, I started off in 1975 in the arcades and playing Pong at home at my cousin's house, and then in 76 playing Fairchild Channel F at each of my best friends' houses. One lived next door, one lived a mile down the road, playing, you know, getting the NES in 87, getting a ColecoVision for Christmas in 82, all of that kind of stuff. But I've got a lot more stories to tell. The reason I started this channel was to tell stories, and I feel like that's my strength as a YouTuber. I think that's something that sets me apart a little bit. There are much better channels for, you know, reviewing newer games that come out, doing deep historical dives. I'm much better writer than I am a YouTuber as far as, you know, discussing the history of a game or whatever. I will leave that to my writing. What I want to focus this channel on is why I started this channel. Now, yes, there will be history here, but history as I lived it. I want to talk about stories, what it was like playing and collecting these games back in the day. Just a few examples. And even more recently, some stories related to retro gaming. The time I bought this copy, which was factory sealed from Sean Kelly, one of the co-founders of the National Video Game Museum in Frisco, Texas. I bought this copy. It was factory sealed for $7 at a Classic Gaming Expo a few years ago. Tell that story. What it was like riding my bike to my friend Mike Mall's house, this New Yorker that was transplanted to Fort Worth, Texas back in the day, riding my bike to his house to play his Atari, to play Combat and listen to Air Supply on repeat. It somehow went with the game. It was great. What was it like playing Star Fox for the first time? What was it like seeing this very blocky, polygonal game that was at once mind-blowing, but at once a little, hey, there's better looking games that just had traditional raster graphics. What was it like, truly like playing Star Fox for the first time? And then playing Star Fox 64. What was it like playing it back then? Why did I skip Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. in the black box, skip those for the NES, even though I love arcade ports for that console, and wait until Donkey Kong Classics for the NES came out in this cool orange box? Why did I wait for this compilation? When Star Wars came out for the NES, it was a no-brainer. It seemed much more story-driven, more adventure-like than any Star Wars game before it. And I saw the original Star Wars movie back in the day in theaters. My brother took me to a new cinema in my town, and obviously that movie blew me away. And I'm going to talk about what it was like playing this NES game. It wasn't perfect, but it was interesting. I drew maps for it, and I did the best I could at this game. I never beat it, but I had a good time with it, although I loved Super Star Wars for the Super Nintendo much more than I liked this game. So I'll talk about the Super Star Wars trilogy on the Super Nintendo. I want to give you guys a window to the past of what experiencing these games was like when they came out. What was it like collecting for them? What was it like buying them at the store brand new, or buying them at the pawn shops later, or trading for them, or finding amazing deals? What it was like buying these games when they were virtually worthless, like buying Atari 2600 and ColecoVision and Intellivision games in the late 80s and into the 90s when they were considered garbage. Got some amazing deals. I want to talk about that kind of thing. And just in general, get back to why I started this channel to begin with. What my passion is telling stories. You know, I like doing reviews. I'm fine with that. I like covering events, things that come up in the news with video games, and I'll still be doing that maybe a little bit. But I want to get back to where this channel started, and that's telling stories about retro games. This is Tales from a Retro Gamer after all. And just the fact that I lived through so much of this. And I want to tell you guys about what it was like going to, you know, when I was in high school, I went to more than 60 rock concerts. And I'm not talking about smaller shows or 60 individual acts. I'm talking about 60 big arena shows, 60 different ones, that had opening acts. So I saw hundreds and hundreds of bands back in the 80s. I want to talk about what it was like seeing Metallica open up for Ozzy in 86, what it was like seeing Prince at the top of his game in 1984, what it was like seeing Heart back in the 80s at the height of their prowess at Six Flags, just getting right up to the front and seeing this amazing band at a theme park. Experiences that just don't happen today. Incredible stuff. Seeing Motley Crue at the top of their game, and when Vince Neil could still sing, and seeing Elton John just absolutely have everyone mesmerized at Reunion Arena in Dallas. He had this arena filled with 17, 18,000 people just in the palm of his hand. It was like nothing else I'd ever seen before. What it was like seeing Star Wars, like I said, at the theater in 1977. What it was like seeing The Terminator in 1984. My friend Bill Pritchett, who I had mentioned in a previous video, my ColecoVision video, what it was like playing and collecting ColecoVision back in 82 and 83. Yes, this was the first episode of my new series on what was it really like doing these things back in the day. Bill and I went to go see The Terminator at the Northeast Mall in Hurst, Texas, which is a suburb of Fort Worth, not knowing what to expect going in. This is just a little preview of what I have in mind, guys. Bear with me. We had seen that there was a science fiction movie coming out with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, back in 1984, Schwarzenegger obviously wasn't the Governator. He wasn't the world-famous figure that he is now. He was known as being a bodybuilder and being Conan the Barbarian, and not a whole lot else that we knew of. But and it was a low-budget film. The original Terminator is a low-budget movie. Unlike T2 and the films to follow, this one had a low budget. We had no idea what to expect going in. We just knew it was science fiction, that we liked science fiction, and that Arnold Schwarzenegger was pretty cool. Holy cow, our minds were completely blown away. We could not believe what we were seeing. It looked amazing. It was gripping. It was action-packed. We were on the edge of our seats following this dark, very realistic tale. Now I'll do a full episode on Terminator, just what it was like seeing this film back in the day, how great Linda Hamilton was, what it was so cool to have, action hero. Later on with Terminator 2, I will talk about how, she became an action hero in the second film, went from basically being a mom running for her life to an action hero. My brother-in-law and I saw Terminator 2 at the theater in 91. I have to say this, guys, we were slightly underwhelmed by this film in 91. We just thought it wasn't as serious or as gritty as the original Terminator. Now, with repeated viewings, I grew to appreciate it, and I absolutely love it. I think it's a great movie, and it definitely has some really high highs and just some amazing special effects and just a lot of great action. Very intense movie, but I was slightly underwhelmed the first time I saw it. Going to talk about that. Going to talk about, just pop culture, what it was like seeing cartoons back in the day. Now, I'm going to mainly stay focused on gaming, but I will do the occasional movie, the occasional cartoon, the occasional rock and roll episode, Tales from a Retro Rocker. I'm going to have a variety of pop culture stuff on this channel, but I want to redirect the focus of this channel to nostalgia, to retro, to back in the day, to me living through these experiences, because I really feel like, I know I'm not the most eloquent YouTuber on the planet. I don't have the highest production values. I don't have this amazing home studio for YouTube, but I have a lot of fun on here, and I have a great editor who puts some cool vintage footage and some great gameplay footage. And I really think, guys, with your help, I can make this channel grow. I can make this channel better. I can upgrade and just get better as I go. And I just want to tell the one advantage of being old. Now, there are a lot of advantage. I feel like I'm a happier person now than I was, more angst-ridden and younger and more uncertain. I feel like I know who I am now more than I did back then. I'm happily married. I've got 2 great kids. A lot of great things. Got this amazing collection that was impossible back in the day. There are a lot of great things about being older, but one of the best is having lived through these amazing experiences that you just really can't experience nowadays. You know, paying $12 for tickets, meeting, you know, Ozzy and Paul Stanley and, you know, the band members in Queensryche, and, you know, just meeting celebrities like the Dallas Mavericks, their teams, Daryl Dawkins of the Philadelphia 76ers, meeting, you know, just all these celebrities, hanging out with Charlton Heston for 2 hours, which I've done a video on that for this channel. I'm gonna get back to those, just all these cool experiences I've had, and share them with you. I will still do convention reports. I will still do convention and video game stores walkthroughs. I wanna keep this a gaming channel, but I wanna just have a lot of fun reliving the decades of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and I hope you guys will come along for this journey. I'm really excited about this. I feel revitalized. I feel like I want to get my channel growing again. I want to have fun doing videos again. I don't want to look at it as an obligation. And anytime I do episodes where I'm telling stories, where I'm recalling, you know, what it was like back in the day, what it was like going into an arcade in 1976 and discovering Breakout, what it was like playing Space Invaders for the first time. I've touched on these things before, but I'm going to go on to some other games that I haven't talked about on this channel before, and I hope you guys will come along for the ride. I hope you will share these videos, get your friends to subscribe, because we're going to have some fun here. I want you to comment on these videos. Tell me your experiences playing, you know, these games I talk about, these movies I talk about, these, you know, bands I talk about. Recent experiences too. There are retro gaming experiences that we're having now, thanks to Homebrew, thanks to, you know, Retro Reimagined, these collections for the Switch, and on and on and on. Retro gaming shows. There's a lot of, you know, this is the best time in the history of the world to be a retro gamer. Even though prices for CIB games, sealed games have gone through the roof, you can still play you know, just countless retro games on the cheap through these collections, through emulation. A lot of, you know, cart only, disc only games are very cheap. It's very cheap to collect for Xbox and PS2 and some of these systems that are now getting kind of old, you know, 20 years old. It's crazy. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of me sort of rethinking my channel, going back to the basics, going back to where I started with Tales from a Retro Gamer. Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys. And again, like, subscribe, and do all that kind of thing. I would greatly appreciate it. And we will have some retro videos for you very soon. Thank you so much for watching. We will talk to you in another video.
It's me, Mario!